welcome to
Roses and Thorns.
I'm Kelly.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're going to recap The Bachelor.
Week 10, the final finale.
With Matt James.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Maybe
we just suddenly changed.
Oh, okay. Maybe. That'd be weird.
It didn't, sorry.
Oh. Spoiler.
Do you have any news?
The only news I have is that Chris Harrison will not be returning as the host of The Bachelorette for the next season. Mm-hmm. They're going to give him some more time to work on himself. So it sounds like he's going to come back eventually, but I guess after his interview on Good Morning America, people are like, this dude's not, like, he's not learned anything yet.
No.
And so it was probably a bad move for him to do that, but I think the people who wouldn't accept him as the host, it doesn't matter whether he did the Good Morning America interview or not, like they weren't going to accept him. I mean, he needs more time to work on himself.
Yeah, you can't educate yourself in the intricacies of white supremacy and the injustices of Black people in a month.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just change your... and I think he isn't racist, but I think he has a lot to work on if he's going to be supporting and going to be playing a role where his actions and decisions are going to affect Black people and people of color.
I wouldn't say that he is intentionally or maliciously racist, but I think that he has implicit biases that are racist, and he needs to work on those so that he can actively fight against them.
Yeah.
That's the only news that I had.
Okay, I have a couple of things.
Okay.
So there have been rumors of Tayshia and Zach being broken up. And
I did hear that.
Is because she had a recent story on Instagram where she was not wearing her engagement ring. Also, Zach's mother did not, or is no longer following Tayshia or clickbait on Instagram anymore.
She refollowed Tayshia though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so Tayshia came out with a statement saying that, like, this is not true. My engagement ring hasn't fit me the entire time I've had it. And that's being fixed right now. And Zach just came out with a story with Tayshia saying, like, I'm proud of you and I love you. Aww. So it's, it's not true. People
read way too much into things.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
I am currently not wearing my engagement ring.
Me neither.
I do have another piece of news, and it should have followed up with the first piece of news. Tayshia and Caitlin Tayshia Adams and Caitlin Bristow will be the hosts of the next season of The Bachelorette.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know where. So I was listening to Higher Learning with Rachel Lindsay, and I always forget his name.
Sure. I don't know.
Van something. Van, okay. Let's just say Van. Van, and they were saying that I don't know if it matters, but they said that they are not hosting it, they are facilitating it, and I don't know if there's a difference. So, I don't know.
I mean, I would not call, if you consider like other TV shows, I would not call what Chris Harrison does hosting either. So
yeah, I agree. Okay, well, that's all. I don't know why they said like not host, not the new host or something like that. They were like very specific too.
That's so confusing.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what that means then.
And then there was one thing that we missed with overnights from the previous week.
Oh.
And this was in the Bachelor People of Color subreddit that I'm in.
Okay.
And this person basically said and pointed out that we didn't see Rachel and Matt like the morning of the morning after the overnight.
I think you pointed that out at the moment too. You're like, did we see their morning after? I was like, I don't know.
No, we just saw her at the door.
Okay.
as she was leaving. And the person pointed out that like the editors were so worried about white people seeing a little white girl in bed with a big black man that they cut the entire thing out. You know, they filmed it because they film everything.
They film
And
everything.
They filmed him with a black woman, and that it was just this little scene with this little white girl. They thought white people weren't going to like that, and they cut it out.
Oh my God. Wild.
Like, let that sit in for a second for like what kind of decisions they make so that they can, I don't know, appease their viewers. And like they're stepping on, like, you know, I don't know what's the saying? They're tiptoeing around their audiences. Like just show us what's real. I don't know. And they made that decision for sure.
Wow. Yeah, like you pointed out that like we didn't see her morning after, but I didn't even think about why.
I didn't either. I didn't. And then this person totally pointed it out and made me angry.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. It's like really, really ridiculous. Damn.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
I thank everybody. I'll probably share that somewhere on Instagram. At least that's the only place I get.
Okay.
But okay. Yeah, that's all I have.
Good. Okay.
Oh, actually, I do have another thing. JoJo and Jordan. Jordan is the person that won JoJo's season.
Okay, cool.
They're still together. I don't think they're married yet.
Okay.
But they are actually hosting their own show on TBS. I don't know what it's called, but it's basically another love show. I think it involves their exes, possibly like husband or wife, and then they're there too and they're dating other people possibly. Yeah, so it's weird. So like I think they mentioned there could be reconciliation or a new romance or something like that. So they're like, possibly you could get back with your ex, maybe not. I don't know.
Interesting.
Or you might find someone new.
Okay, that's interesting. You said it's on TBS, so it's like a TV show?
Yeah, it's a TV station.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is all I have.
Cool. You want to get into the episode?
Yeah.
All right. So, the first thing I have is Matt's mom and brother. Did you write down anything about Matt's opening before that?
Before that, I think I just wrote down a couple of things that Matt was saying, and he said that Michelle checks all the boxes, which is usually not a good thing to say about a person. And then he mentioned that with Rachel, he can see basically growing with her. Like growing as a person, as a husband, as a man, whatever.
Checks all the boxes.
And then it's usually not a good thing to say about a.
Yeah, like as much as like you check the boxes, like you personally, for me, check the boxes. I've never said that about you because I've never had to justify why I like you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Like when you say that a person checks all the boxes, like you start naming off the reasons why you like somebody. It's usually because I don't know, unless you're asked.
Well, I mean, yeah, so he was asked, right? And so like he probably for Rachel named off the specific things that he liked about her. And they were probably more emotional things. Yeah. Rather than analytical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Analyzing love, it's not a good sign, possibly.
No, unless you're a robot, but he doesn't appear to be.
No,
he appears to be very human.
Okay. Human-like, yeah.
Very, very human-like. So then we meet Patty and John, his mom and brother.
Patty and Matty.
No.
And John.
Oh, Patty and Matty. That's cute.
And John.
And John. Clearly the least favorite. Matt looks so much like his brother.
Yeah.
Like if you change Matt's hair.
Matt looks a lot like his brother. Is that what you said?
Sure.
Okay.
If you change Matt's hair and you gave him a mole and then now he has his big beard, which clearly was inspired from his brother, then they would look basically identical.
Yeah, they look very similar. I mean, yeah, the beard thing, it's like, you know, you always look up to your older brother. So I was like, oh, I want a beard too.
Do you think Matt's the younger one?
Matt is the younger one, yeah.
How do you know?
Because he said multiple times, my older brother, John.
That's circumstantial evidence.
Maybe it's because you had your eyes closed the entire episode.
I did. I had such a bad migraine yesterday and such bad eye pain from staring at screens so much that I did not actually watch much of this episode. Like, I'd glance up occasionally, but mostly I just stared at my notebook and took notes and listened to it.
I'm making you feel bad about it now.
Well, you would think if I were just listening, I would have caught that it was his
You probably
older
should
brother.
have, because he said it a couple times.
Yeah, so apparently I wasn't listening very well either. I was too busy thinking about how much my eyes hurt and how much I just wanted it to be over so I could go to bed. Okay, it's snowing. Let's remember later when someone is forced to stand outside in a dress in this weather, that it was snowing just at this time, which would be a few days prior. Like snow, not like a little flurry. There was a decent amount of snow.
I didn't know
they had a little snowball fight.
Oh, they did?
You didn't notice it was snowing?
I didn't see it snowing, but I remember the snowball fight.
Do you remember Matt walking through the field and it was snowing?
No.
It looked like very emo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the only thing I got from his conversation with his mom and brother was that his mom said that it's a long shot that he's going to be engaged at the end of this.
Which seems fair for someone who's never been in a long-term relationship.
That, and then I thought it was just such a big signal of foreshadowing of what's going to happen. Based on the rumors that I heard and stuff like that, it just seems like a lot of foreshadowing.
Yeah. The ending of the season was entirely spoiled.
Yeah, there was so much.
There was so much.
So much stuff that got leaked. And I think especially with the news.
The controversies.
Controversies.
Sees.
It seemed like things just got out a lot faster.
Yeah.
I think maybe we're also more engulfed in the Bachelor Nation too. That we do just see things more often now.
Yeah. It's like we're looking for news and then
we see spoilers.
We see news. Let's transcribe that vocalics there.
Yeah.
News. Okay. Michelle? So just like, so that we don't have to keep saying it, Mom's emotional. Like basically at any given point in time throughout the next 2 days, Mom is emotional.
Yes.
Yeah. So she starts crying a little bit when she meets Michelle.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh, okay.
Like her voice was shaking. You could see like her eyes were like watering a little bit. I think she was just probably so happy, like overwhelmed to like meet such like a wonderful person that her son looked so happy with. Right?
I don't think she was able to see all of that already, right? She like
immediately,
just walked in. Like,
yeah.
Really?
No, like her like vibrancy. Like Michelle's like a very vibrant person. She walks in and there's like an energy to her. And then Matt is just like beaming. Like he's so happy that she's there.
I guess. I didn't quite catch that.
I wasn't even watching it and I got that. Okay. Brother and mom and Michelle.
Okay. He says he's looking for a vibe, not quite like the answers to a question, but like her vibe. And it's interesting because this is kind of like the technique that I usually use in interviews, where I'm just asking you questions and I'm just seeing how you answer them. If you're just saying one-word answers, that's not good. If you're a robot, that's probably not that good either. And you know, it's kind of like, let me get a sense of you rather than like, did you give me a good answer or not? I don't know how successful I really am with that though.
I have terrible intuition, so I would not be good at that.
I think I have good intuition. I don't know if my intuitions are always correct about people. But so maybe I don't have good intuition.
Yeah, I think that's what that means personally.
I just don't. I'm not confident. Okay, whatever. And he seems to like her.
He asks what she sees in Matt that like lets her know that he'd be a good long-term partner, and her answer is just like trust. Like she can trust him, and just like the trust that they have in each other, and that's a pretty good answer for what you would need in a long-term partner.
Yeah, for sure. Michelle and Mom?
No, I'm not done with brother.
Okay.
So he says that he can see that his brother is legitimately happy with Michelle. And that's important. That's big. He hasn't seen his brother in a long-term relationship before, which I think Matt had mentioned, but I had just forgotten. And so that was a good reminder.
This is also not a long-term relationship.
No, but if he's going to get engaged, like that would be a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
So I don't think she necessarily meant like before this moment, as in like now he is. I think she just meant like before, like has he ever been in a long-term relationship? Sure. Yeah. Okay, then Mom and Michelle.
Yeah. So I think Mom asks about her family. And
about Matt meeting her family specifically, how that went.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, yes, and then, she said that went over really well. And then she starts describing her family and how it's like a very loving family. Like mom and dad love each other very much. And her mom immediately, it's like, I feel so bad that I wasn't able to provide this kind of family for Matt. And then she starts crying, and Michelle says that it's like it's not super important. It's not like the end all be all to be in that kind of relationship. You can see that, he's learned and felt things because of his family situation that other people can't. And
he appreciates things differently because of the experience he grew up with. Yeah.
And you can totally see how like his mother obviously has impacted his and maybe it's just genetics, but like how she is emotional and feels empathy for, or like I can see how her empathy is also in Matt a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. But Michelle tells Mom that she's in love with Matt, and the mom is happy and emotional. Yep. Mom and Matt?
Yeah.
Mom says that she can see how Michelle is part of the final two. Like she gets it. She gets how she's there. And they just have a sweet conversation, and Mom is supportive.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Matt and Michelle have a snowball fight.
Yeah.
Rachel? Oh my God, what's her name?
Rachel.
Rachel. She brings sunflowers, which is very cute.
It's also a choice.
It's a choice, but I think it's a great choice personally. Michelle also brought flowers. She brought an assortment of flowers. Yeah. But bringing all of one flower is a bold decision already. But then a less usual flower for a bouquet, like sunflowers, is a bold choice, and I think it's a good one.
Okay.
They have a conversation about Matt and Rachel's communication and how they talk about things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't really write down much about that.
Okay. Cool.
Again, the brother was, I'm sure he didn't say it this time, but he asked very interview style questions. And I'm assuming trying to get the same vibe from her. I didn't really write anything down about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't write down anything about that. Brother and Rachel?
Brother and... Oh, that's what I was talking about.
Oh, that was that. Okay. So he asked her how many serious relationships she's been in. She's been in 2, one in high school, one in college. he asks if she's ever been in love, and she says no. So her and Matt kind of have that in common, because like he thinks he had felt love before, but then like upon reflection thinks probably not. And then he asks her the qualities that she sees in Matt that lets her know that he'd be a good long-term partner, and her answer is really good. That's really good. So she says that he makes her feel safe and comfortable. He's funny. He's understanding. He's a good listener. He makes her heart race. He gives her butterflies. And she just says this all like off the top of her head. And like, if somebody asked me like, why do you love Ryan? I'm like, oh, like we have a great time together. Like I would not be able to give such a good answer. And there's like a million reasons, but then like having to like make a list, it's like so much harder. Yeah. And she just like gives this answer. I'm like, whoa, that was so good. Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't process it, because it was all things that made sense to have, like what you are looking for in a relationship. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. But then to just rattle it off like that, it's probably kind of impressive.
There's also a chance that like, I mean, we saw her like writing in a diary, and like there's a chance like she had like already like journaled about it, and so like she had those answers.
And already by now, I think even before she even met his family, she was getting really good music. And I didn't go back and listen to Michelle's interaction with his family, but I mean, I definitely noticed it with Rachel that she was getting the good music, like feel good. Things are looking up, sunshine's on the horizon, kind of like music that you know that they play when they are trying to give you an emotional reaction for somebody.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's basically going on throughout her visit with his family. So
okay. Did you write down anything about Mom and Matt's conversation here?
Sorry, I can't read this part. Mom and Matt.
Yeah, they have a conversation. I didn't write down anything either.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't write anything down.
Okay, cool. Mom and Rachel.
Yeah. So she's talking about her shared experience on their one-on-one date, where like they're kind of building that relationship, and she was starting to feel more comfortable. And I don't know, just saying that how they kind of built that foundation for the relationship. And honestly, that's like 1/3 of the relationship. And she like thanks God that he brought Matt into her world and stuff like that. And Mom kind of eats it up and starts crying, because I mean, if you are a religious person and you hear this person saying all this really nice stuff about your son and is so grateful for it, then like, yeah, you feel good too.
Yeah. Well, and she also says that like her faith is really important to her, and when Matt prayed night one, like that like really touched Rachel. Like that was really big for her. So she says, I think she says something along the lines of how it felt like fate.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Matt and his family.
His brother says, I will support you in whatever you decide to do, but don't feel like you need to jump into anything if you're not ready. His mom says that she loves both of them, and Matt's talking about both of them like he could just propose to either one of them right then. And then the big thing that his mom says that I was like, why do you want to say this right now? I mean, maybe...
Well, it was building off of what his brother had just said, because his brother asked if Matt had any concerns. And Matt says, like, he has a concern about telling them that he loves them because, like, he's made mistakes with that before. And so this is where his mom goes into that, because he had just been like, yeah, I'm, like, kind of concerned about saying that I love, I love one of them. And that's when his mom is like, all right, well, if you're worried about saying I love you, then boy, have you got something coming if you're thinking about getting engaged.
I mean, totally true. But I think this really stuck with him. She said, love isn't the end all be all. I think that's what she said.
Something like that.
And it just seemed like such a negative thing to say, especially when he's trying to figure this all out and the goal is to possibly be engaged at the end of this. And maybe it is what he needed to kind of like sort out who is not the right person or not. But I don't know. He seemed like real happy before his conversation with his family.
Agreed. Yes, it definitely had a huge impact on him. And it was not an immediately positive impact, but I do think it was good because I think he got really caught up in everything. And it's like, I'm going to get engaged. I'm going to have the love of my life and we're going to get engaged. We're going to get married. Everything's going to be great. And it's like, well, hold on.
Yeah,
like
it's
you
kind of like the
have
reality
never really,
check from the family.
Yeah, like a reality check. Yeah. It's like you have never really been in love before. You are worried about even saying I love you to one of these people. You've never had a long-term relationship and you're just going to be getting engaged in a couple days.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that, it's probably his family kind of snapped him out of it.
Yeah.
Because there was just like a little bit of past Matt still in there where he was like, or he like remembered this part where he's worried about, he like made a decision to be very careful about saying I love you to somebody. And then when after sharing that with his family, that's like, I'm worried about that. And they like kind of pull him back saying like, well, if you're, worried about this, basically what you said.
Yeah. So then this becomes this like reoccurring idea that he has that like with his dad and his mom, how he doesn't want to be his dad and he doesn't want to put a woman in the position that his mom was in. So even though in the previous episode he had established that he is not his dad, that is suddenly seems to be his concern. And that's the only part that I think he has wrong here, because he's not, he's a different person than his dad. He's entirely different. And a part of that comes from this thoughtfulness that he has. Like, that's how you can see that he's different, is he has this thoughtfulness about it and this concern about it. So I don't think his concern should be that he's going to put someone in the position that his mom was in, because I don't think he would do that because he's too mindful about it. But I do think it's good for him to come back to reality and be like, oh, I've never had a long-term relationship. Maybe I should have one of those before I get engaged. Or have one of those become an engagement, ideally. Yeah. So now Matt's confused. So they send in Chris Harrison.
Of course.
And he recaps his conversation with his mom, wondering if he's ready to make that sort of commitment right now.
Yeah, he talks about not getting into something he's not ready for. And how getting engaged with one of these women is kind of forcing that relationship to go to a point that it probably isn't ready for, which is absolutely what everybody says about this show. It, like, all the family and people on the outside are like, it's too fast. Your relationship is not ready for an engagement yet.
And they're usually right.
Yes, absolutely.
Statistically, they're usually right.
And, I guess, when you are starting out a new relationship and you put this enormous burden on it, it doesn't help at all.
Yeah. But Chris kind of pushes back on his mom's perspective. And I didn't write down exactly what he said, but I was like, Chris, like, you clearly have ulterior motives right now. Like, as an executive producer of this show, and someone who's invested in this show, you want to see an engagement at the end. So you're not going to let Matt just have this, like, new perspective and possibly go in no longer expecting an engagement.
Yeah.
But I didn't write down exactly what Chris said, but I was like, this feels kind of shitty, because it's like, oh, what does your mom know? Yeah. But Chris is like, so does this mean you don't want to get engaged at the end of this? And Matt's like, I don't
don't know.
Well, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, he says, I'll keep my mind open about it. Something like that.
That's what he says.
Michelle's date?
Yep.
Okay. She was wearing all black. So obviously something horrible is going to happen.
Obviously.
They were kissing. His eyes were open. And he takes her up all the way to the top of the resort. And then it's like, hey, look down there. We're going to go down there.
I was like, oh, cool. We're glad you did that.
You know, the place that you were just at, we're going to go down there.
Yeah.
But there was like a heart on the runway, and there's like, oh, this whole thing planned.
This like super romantic couch on the road.
Yeah. It's kind of weird.
I don't know. It was very weird, especially considering that it was just snowing 2 days ago. So
yeah. And it was like, it's like windy as fuck.
Yeah. So maybe an indoor date would have been great today.
Like when they were setting it up, they're like, are you sure? Because they had like flags behind them. Yeah. And they were going wild. Anyways, the reason why he brought her up there was because they're going to rappel down.
Yes.
Because that's going to be fun. I don't know.
It looked kind of fun.
It looked fun, but I don't know why they did it.
Yeah, I think just to do something.
Sure.
And they're like, no more skydiving for a little bit, maybe. Let's try rappelling.
Let's jump off a building.
And so Matt's like, all right, here goes nothing. And like closes his eyes and falls backwards. And you hear the instructor go, no, 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 no. and then after Matt made that mistake, Michelle did this basically the same thing. They both leaned back like they're bungee jumping. It's like, no, there's a building right there. You're supposed to walk down the building.
It's kind of funny. So he was like, okay, so now get your head up because your head is below your butt now.
Yeah, put your feet down like one does when they are walking.
Honestly, I might have done the same thing because I was just like, I would be so excited to do it. And then I'd just be like, this is what I've seen people do. But obviously it's what they do off of boats and stuff.
Yeah.
Not off a building as they're rappelling down it.
Yeah, but then the fact that Michelle also did it. Like if I saw you make that mistake, like I definitely would have tried something different.
Yeah, if someone got in trouble for doing something, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. But it seems like they got the hang of it super quickly.
Yeah. So it looked fun. They eventually find their way to the thing. And I honestly didn't write anything about that.
I wrote, talk about meeting family, positive on all sides.
Yeah.
So that must be related to what they said.
He says
go ahead.
something about being torn because
she asks him if he thinks he can get where he needs to be emotionally. That's probably a response to that question.
And I think it was in Talking Head that he said he was torn. I don't think he told it to her face.
Yeah, he did. Answering Michelle's question, he said something basically that he's not sure yet. But maybe the Talking Head was a follow-up to that.
Yeah, basically he's not on the same page with Michelle right now.
Clearly, as we're going to see in just a moment.
In the evening?
Yes.
So he like was walking up to the door and like it looks like he's about to go out on stage and like do a performance or something because he's like stands there, takes a deep breath, and then goes in. Like
That's really funny.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to do something big.
She tells him that she can't imagine being with anyone else now that she's been with him. And she gives him 2 presents.
Yeah.
They are jerseys that say world-changing warriors because that's both their goals is to change the world.
Yeah.
And hers says Mrs. James.
His says Mr. James. And it's a cute gift. It's a really cute gift.
Very cute.
But it was just like he could not hide his face anymore. And she saw it. She's like, talk to me. And he eventually gets to the point where he says, I don't think I can get there with you. And that's just like, dunzo. This is over. Yeah. She does ask at some point, like, I don't know what to do here. Do you want me to fight for you? And I don't know. I don't remember what breakups are like. But I think there's sometimes I've had girlfriends where like, why didn't you fight for me? I'm like, what the fuck? You just broke up with me. Like, who
I didn't
am I?
know that was an option.
Yeah, I didn't know that was an option. Like, is that what you wanted? Why the fuck are you asking me to fight for you?
Yeah, I thought I was supposed to respect your decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can see her asking that, just like double checking, like, is this a test? But yeah, it clearly for her comes out of nowhere. And I think as an audience, it kind of comes out of nowhere. And there's a chance that Matt wasn't planning on doing anything like this tonight, that he still wasn't sure. He hadn't had his mind made up. And then seeing that Mrs. James thing was like, oh, that's not you. Right? Like it might have just had that realization, because it kind of seemed like he was processing.
Yeah, he didn't leave with the gift. He didn't leave with his coat either.
He got it back, though.
He got it back.
So, yeah. Matt walks outside and cries and waits for Chris, which I'm sure is what he was instructed to do.
Probably.
Because why would you just stand outside and wait there? Like, you would walk back home. Like, I'm leaving. So I'm sure he was told to wait.
And so for me, I was like, oh, his mom messed him up, because I thought that her saying that, like, oh, love isn't the end all be all. He's just like all up in his head now about relationships and what is love and what is he supposed to do by the end of this?
Which is maybe true, but I also think that he was not going to end up with Michelle either way.
So like with Michelle, it's okay. If what his mom said, if his relationship with Michelle was strong, like so strong, it should have negated anything his mom said. So I don't know if his relationship with Michelle couldn't survive just a sentence or a couple of sentences from his mom, then it's probably not a good idea to get engaged with that person in a few days.
Yeah. Agreed. So Chris comes out and he sits down on the curb next to Matt and makes the most dad noise ever. Like he sits down and he goes, ah.
I mean, I sometimes make that noise after a long day of yard work and housework.
Sure.
My body's tired.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just really funny.
Gotta stand up.
Yeah. Definitely standing up. That's a noise I make sometimes. Matt says he loved her, but he wasn't in love with her.
Sure.
And he says he refuses to put Rachel through what his mom went through. Again, he just seems worried that he is like his dad.
And he says something like, I'm not ready. Or maybe I just wrote that. I think I just wrote that.
I think you just wrote that.
Yeah, he says, or I said, he's just not ready.
Yeah. He says he needs some time, and then he walks off.
Yeah. Okay. Rachel. So she's getting all ready. She's wearing all black. Not a good sign.
Never wear all black.
So there's a knock at the door. I don't know if she was expecting it, but she goes real excited. And she was even more excited by who it was.
Because she's never seen the show before, clearly, if she was excited about who it was. Right? Because when Chris stops by unexpectedly, he rarely has good news.
Yeah. Unless she sees him as the baron of like dates or something.
Maybe.
So like only good news. Honestly, it's only been good news when he's been there.
I mean, he stops by to like cancel rose ceremonies and stuff, or cancel cocktail parties and stuff like that.
Not that we've seen.
No, this season, yeah.
Have they?
Yeah, he's come by. He's like, Matt already has his mind made up.
Okay.
The cocktail party is canceled.
Okay.
But maybe fewer times than usual.
At least we didn't see it. Maybe they filmed it, but we didn't see it.
Oh, well, okay.
Chris Harrison says that Matt is emotional right now, needs some time to recover.
No, what he says is that he saw Matt last night, and the last thing he said to him was, I need some time. And the way he said it, because I didn't write down his exact words, but the way he said it, he made it sound like Matt was missing. Like, he's saying this, I'm like, have they heard from Matt? Like, I was thinking, have they heard from Matt? He walked out in the dark, and now Chris is like, the last time I saw him, he just walked off and said, I need some time. And I'm like, do they know where he is? Is this a bigger problem?
Did not have that interpretation of what he said.
But he tells her date's canceled.
Yeah. Now Rachel's all up in her head now because she's like, well, why is she? Why is Matt all... Why? I don't know. Why does he need time? Why didn't he want to go on a date with me? He doesn't know. Rachel didn't know what he just went through or what he's been through.
Yeah. And she's like even more confused because she's like, he's never expressed any doubts to me before. So I have no idea what's going on. But she assumes that it's very, very bad and about her, which is reasonable. Like, it was her date. And he's like, and she's like, he didn't want to see me.
Right. And, this whole situation could probably be, fixed with a cell phone. It's like,
yes.
Hey, just want to send you a message that you're great and I just need some time.
Yeah. I had a really rough night and I can't focus on anything else right now. It has nothing to do with you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Text. One text.
But yeah, so Matt is just trying to figure out if love is enough.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out his relationship with Rachel, and what he really needs to kind of figure this all out is to hold a diamond ring in his hand to kind of like figure out whether or not if love is enough. He needs to hold a diamond ring in his hand. And here comes Neil Lane. Here comes Neil Lane, of course.
I really thought you were going to say something serious, and then you said that. You got me.
Because that's what happened.
You got me.
He was talking about how serious he needs to take this, and, he needs to hold a diamond ring in his hand. I mean, obviously, it didn't do much for me when I was holding the ring in my hand, but, maybe it does a little bit for you, to kind of make things in perspective, possibly.
Maybe. I will say this conversation with Neil Lane was way better than I thought. Any expectations I had.
Yeah, way better than anything Chris Harrison I said, honestly.
I don't know if it's just this third party where it's he really has no stake in it. He's already sold these rings to the Bachelor anyway, so I'm sure. He's going to get paid the same regardless. And so he's just like, all right, man, let's just talk about this.
Yeah, he's like, I think Matt is kind of going off and just talking about his relationship. And he Neil Lane also knew that it was only one woman left. He's like,
he knew her name.
Yeah. And he's like, you look like you're taking this very seriously, and I don't know, talking about what a ring represents and helping him kind of through this situation. And usually all we hear from Neil Lane is that's a great cut.
Yeah.
That's a diamond cut.
Yeah.
Or is it diamond cut?
Whatever.
Or whatever. Yeah. Princess cut or something like that.
Yeah. But he's like, well, what is Rachel expecting? And Matt's like, she's expecting honesty. I'm like, that was actually, I thought it was a good question to begin with, and that was a great answer that Matt gave. And then Neil is like, well, whatever you want to do is the right thing to do. I was like, yeah, you know what? It is.
Yeah. Fuck this show. I want to go home.
And he's like, well, let's just look at some rings and you can see how you feel about it.
And I think along with a lot of other people, I thought that he chose a heart-shaped ring.
And I, at first, thought that you were wrong because I was like, no, that looks like a teardrop shape to me. And then I saw more pictures of it and I was like, okay, I guess it is heart-shaped. That was a stupid choice. Turns out I was right. I was wrong because it's called a pear cut. I thought it was called teardrop. But it's also very cute because Neil Lane's like, I really like this one. This was the shape of my mom's ring. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's really sweet. Okay. I had to think about what my mom's ring looked like. I don't know what it used to look like. She got it reset, so I know what the new one looks like.
Is it like a pearl or something?
No, it's she took the diamonds from her old ring.
It's like a swirl.
And it's like a
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not like a swirl, but it's nowhere like a traditional ring at all.
Okay.
Yeah, she got it reset. So yeah, he got a pear-shaped ring, and he's like, this represents what my father couldn't give to my mother.
Sure.
And he's like, if I give it to Rachel, I never want it to come off.
Which is unrealistic. It has to come off at some point.
Yeah. There are people who legitimately don't take off their ring. And I guarantee their ring is in super bad condition. You should not expose your ring to soap repetitively. Like, obviously, I wear it when I'm washing my hands, but I try to, like, avoid the actual ring part. You are not supposed to wear it in the shower with all the shampoo and conditioner and all these things that are meant to, like, clean and strip things, right? Like, you're supposed to use a special cleaner. So you don't want to wear it all the time, and you don't want to wear it while you're cooking and get all that shit all over it because you don't have a way to professionally clean it at home. Mm-hmm. So you're also supposed to get it cleaned every 6 months, which is harder to do in a pandemic.
Yeah. It always looks so much better after we clean it.
So much better after you clean it. It's beautiful.
Okay.
Oh, and it's free. Anybody who doesn't know this, I didn't know this. You can take it to any jeweler. It doesn't matter where you bought it. You take it to any jeweler. And you're just like, hey, can you clean this? And they just will.
Yeah. Did I tell you that?
I think I read it online and I was like, I don't believe this is true. And you're like, it is. And I was like, well, then you take it in and get it clean.
And I did.
And you did. And they did. But then they also, this is like a smart reason why they do that, is they inspected it and they told you like there were areas of it that were like weak and that we could get reinforced. It was going to be like $50 or $75 or something. And we definitely should have done it because I don't want my ring to break. My ring is a vintage ring, so it's like 100 years old, and I don't want it to fall apart. You need to make sure you take care of it. But yeah, that's really smart for them to inspect it,
but also
and see if there's any way that they could make money off of it. But also, it's just like, if they're nice to you, maybe you'll go back there and buy your ring, another ring or jewelry.
I've seen how they are cleaned. Mm-hmm. It's this chemical that I think is like electrolyzed.
It's like full of electrolytes. Is it just Gatorade?
Yeah, but it's like has electricity going through it. And then,
electric Gatorade.
And they just dip it in, and it just like kills all the stuff and like shakes, basically.
Oh.
Probably interacts with the metals on your thing, and then like it like gets all the dirt and stuff off of it.
Why did I think it was steam cleaned? Like a fucking carpet or something.
We have no idea. I just happened to like watch a YouTube video where it was like that was just part of it. But also like for you to get your ring cleaned for free, they get you inside your store. In their store. And
then like there's a time while they're back there cleaning your ring that you're wandering around. Oh, it's so smart.
Yeah.
Next day?
Yeah.
Rachel's really anxious.
So she's in a gown. So it looks like she's ready.
Nope.
No?
No, she was definitely in a bathrobe. She was in a black bathrobe. And she's not wearing makeup yet. And the date card arrives.
Oh, okay. That's right.
And she opens it so cautiously. Like there could be a bomb inside.
Like she got broken up through a date card.
And the only thing you can see when you open it is like, so sorry. It's like, that could be good or bad, good or bad, good or bad. I'm so sorry, but I cannot see you.
Okay. I broke up with you through a date card.
Yeah. But instead, it's like a few sentences about how he's sorry about yesterday, and then just like, meet me by the lake. I'm like, is this a casual meet me by the lake?
Right.
Or I really didn't know. Yeah. And then he's wearing a suit. I'm like, well, I hope she comes dressed up because he's wearing a suit.
He's talking with Chris Harrison. And what does he say?
I don't know if he says this to Chris or if it's a talking head or whatever, but he says what he feels now he's never felt before. He also says he doesn't know what he's going to say to Rachel, but he has the ring. You should really figure out what you're going to say to Rachel.
Yeah, man.
Clock is ticking. So Rachel arrives and she must be freezing.
Right.
She's wearing just a dress. You can see their breath. She doesn't have a coat or anything. You can see their breath. It was just snowing a couple days ago. And they're like, yeah, let's definitely do this outside
Mm-hmm.
because we do not have all of these buildings available to us. We've got to do this outside.
Yeah. And I don't know how much a fireplace outside. Okay, did they build a fireplace? Did they move a fireplace outside?
Maybe.
Because there was a fireplace.
And it was like working. I wondered like how that functioned. Like how did they make, is it battery operated?
I don't know.
Is it actually like a legitimate like fireplace?
It looked like fire. And it looked like a fireplace.
It was so weird. Yeah.
Um,
There's no way it was enough heat though.
yeah, but it looked, I'm sure she was super cold because she was wearing nothing.
Yeah, basically.
She was wearing a gown.
Yeah.
Like a real nice gown.
Beautiful gown.
But it was probably 30 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Okay.
What
Rachel
did she
has
say
a
to him?
speech.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire time she's talking, he gives her nothing.
Blank face.
Blank face, no emotions, no happy like no smiles or anything.
Yeah. Like
She's-
I only looked up a couple times and I was like, what is going to happen on his end?
Yeah, she was saying like really sweet stuff and like how she wants to spend the rest of her life with him and whatever.
And like she said that as like terrible as she felt yesterday, like the hardest part was knowing that he must have been hurting. Like for him to cancel their date, he must have been hurting really bad. And she wants to be there for him when he's hurting. And so she's saying these like, yeah, really sweet things to him. And she loves him and she will always choose him if he lets her. And he's just like stone-faced.
Yeah.
We said the same thing at the same time.
Stone-faced. Pebble-faced. Okay. I didn't write down exactly what he said, but he don't want to rush into anything like his mother did. And I'm not sure what that means because I don't think his father and mother got married or anything, or maybe they got engaged. I don't know.
It sounds like they might have gotten engaged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He says he wants to be better than his dad, doesn't want to put her through what his mom went through and rush into an engagement.
Mm-hmm. He says, that's why I can't propose to you. But
I don't want to lose you.
Mm-hmm. He says, I see you as my future wife, the mother of my children, but I don't want to get married to you. It's kind of silly.
But he tells her that he loves her. This is the first time that he's telling her that he loves her. So it was very appropriate that they are not getting engaged at this point.
Yes.
And that's enough for her to just know that he loves her is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so she's fine with this.
I mean, I think
She seems fine with it.
it would be the most ideal situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is maybe a stigma that she might feel when like proposal was an option here and people expected a proposal and an engagement and like she wasn't good enough for that or something like that.
But how relieved would you be if you were either of their families?
I would be
like,
so fucking relieved. I mean, also if I was the contestant,
yeah,
I would be so relieved. I'm like, yes, I would like to pursue this like a normal relationship.
Yes. Yep.
I don't want to be your fiance yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So that is the end of the finale.
Mm-hmm.
And let's do After the Final Rose as a different episode.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So rate, review, and subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at Roses in Thorns Pod. And I'll do stats at the end of the next episode.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Because we're doing this on the same day.
Yay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.